The old man and the broken ship, the twin suns of 09, burned hot over the alien starbase. Ships of every size floated in and out of the giant hangars like metal birds in a hive. The air smelled of oil, plasma fuel, and hot metal. Loud engines roared and robotic arms moved quickly as young alien pilots shouted, joked, and trained for war. In the middle of all the action stood a single old man, quiet, slow, and human. He wore a dusty grey jumpsuit. His hair was white. His hands were stained with grease, and a long scar ran down the side of his face. He moved like a man with heavy memories. Most of the alien soldiers didn't know his name. They just called him the Old Earth Mechanic. No one respected him, not anymore. They believed he was just an old human dumped here to fix scraps. One alien laughed. "Why does Earth send garbage men to our base?" The man didn't answer. He was focused on the burnt ship in front of him, the destroyed fighter that looked like it had survived 1,000 crashes. Smoke still rose from its engines. He ran his hand across the damage. His eyes narrowed. A small group of alien pilots watched. From a distance, they were young, proud, and arrogant. Their leader, Zarek, pointed at the old man and smirked. "Look at him, so slow, so useless," Zarek laughed. "He probably thinks that broken junk can fly again." The others joined in the laughter. One of them said, "Maybe he'll fix it, with a screwdriver and hope." Another said, "Or maybe he'll pray to his human gods." Still, the old man said nothing. He knelt beside the engine and pulled out a small toolkit. His hands moved slowly but with purpose. He didn't rush. He didn't speak. He just worked. A quiet mystery later, that evening, the hangar was almost empty. The sun was setting. The sky turned gold and purple. Most pilots had left for the mess hall, but the old man stayed. Alone, in silence, he wiped his hands with a cloth. Then, from his pocket, he pulled out a small black box. He opened it. Inside was a metal wings of silver surrounding a blue flame. The edges were worn. Scratches covered the metal, but the symbol still shined. He stared at it. For a long time, his fingers touched it gently, and then something changed. His breathing slowed. His eyes closed, and in that moment, a flash of memory hit him. Loud explosions. Smoke-filled skies, friends screaming, ships burning. He remembered the cold silence of space, and the voice of his old commander yelling in his ear. "Rex, pull up now." His name was Rex Holt. He had once been a combat pilot, one of Earth's best, but no one here knew that not yet a challenge begins the next morning. The base was alive again. Training began. Drones flew in tight patterns. New pilots practiced maneuvers. In zero-gravity zones, Zarek and his team passed by the old man, who was now tightening bolts on the same broken ship. "You still fixing that?" Zarek said loudly. Rex didn't look up. Zrik walked closer, mocking him. "I bet you can't even fix the stabilizer core. I'll do it faster, better. Watch me." The crowd gathered as Zrik pulled out his toolkit and rushed to the other side of the ship. "Let's see who's the better mechanic," he shouted. "The past or the future?" Aliens laughed. Even the guards smiled. Rex didn't argue. He simply stood and walked over to the stabilizer panel. Slowly, calmly, he opened it, examined the burned wires, and made 3 clean cuts with a tool one had seen before. Zarek struggled. He used tech scanners and auto tools, but couldn't find the right wire. Within minutes, Rex closed the panel and walked away. The ship powered up. Lights blinked green. Silence fell. No one clapped. No one spoke. Zarek looked down, ashamed. A whispers begins in the control tower. A female alien officer watched everything on a screen. She turned to her captain. "Who is that human?" she asked. He fixed a broken Class V ship by hand. The captain frowned. "I don't know, but I'll check Earth's files." She tapped into the Galactic system. When she typed the name Rex Holt, a red warning appeared. Classified, Level 9. Combat history sealed by Earth Command. The officer's eyes widened. She looked again at the old man, now sitting quietly on a bench, drinking from a metal cup. Why would Earth hide a mechanic? She whispered, Asterisk. The twin suns hung low over 09, casting long shadows across the metal floors of the hangar. The sounds of hammers and plasma welders echoed across the open space. But among the usual chaos, the mood felt different today. Eyes followed the old human wherever he went. The day before, he'd fixed a wreck that no one believed could fly. And not just fixed it, he'd embarrassed one of the base's top alien pilots, Zarek, in front of the entire crew. Some still laughed, calling it luck. Others stayed quiet, thinking harder than they ever had about who this quiet human truly was. Zarek had barely slept. Rage boiled inside him. His pride had taken a hit, and no one, especially not some wrinkled Earth fossil, was going to walk away with that kind of win. As soon as the suns rose, he was back at the hangar, standing in front of the same ship Rex had repaired. The old man was already there, crouched near the wing, tuning a fuel valve by hand. Zarek walked up to him with a cold expression. "You think you're smart, that you showed me up," he said, his voice tight with anger. Rex didn't look at him. He simply kept working, his hands steady, eyes calm. Zarek took a breath. "Fine. If you're so confident, prove it. Get in and fly. Let's see if you trust your fix enough to ride it." That made Rex pause. Slowly he stood. Their eyes met. Around them, a few engineers and pilots started to gather, sensing something was about to happen. "You want to break it again?" Rex asked softly. "You scared?" Zarek shot back. Rex didn't answer. He stepped aside, motioning toward the cockpit. Zarek climbed in and powered the ship. The engine sputtered, but came to life. The ship lifted off. A little shaky, but airborne. Crik laughed through the comms, circling above the hangar. "See, it works, but I still say it was a fluke." He pushed the throttle too hard. The ship jerked, rolled, and began spinning uncontrollably in midair. Warning lights flashed. Pilots on the ground shouted in panic. Zarek's voice screamed through the speaker, stabilizers offline. No control. Before anyone could reach the controls, a roar shook the hangar. A second ship launched one that hadn't flown in years. It was a rusted, half-forgotten Earth fighter, buried under tools and dust. At the controls was Rex Holt. The old fighter didn't just fly, it moved like lightning. While Zarek spiraled out of control, Rex's ship cut through the sky like it remembered the stars. He pulled beside the spinning fighter and spoke through the comms with a tone that was calm, unshaken. "Cut left engine. Let the spin carry. Don't fight it, steer into it." Zarek, terrified, followed the instructions. The ship responded. The spin slowed. The nose lifted. Moments later, both fighters were gliding side by side, descending safely toward the hangar floor. They landed. Hissing steam rose from the landing gear. Silence fell. Zarek stepped out of the cockpit and stared at Rex in disbelief. Everyone around them stood frozen. watching the old human like they were seeing him for the first time. A voice broke the silence. It was General Toven, the newly arrived commander of the base. His boots echoed as he walked toward the human, studying him carefully. "You flew that like a Red Veil veteran," he said. Rex replied without emotion. "I was there." The general stopped in his tracks. His eyes narrowed. "Your commander, Holt, of Earth's 7th Fleet." Rex didn't answer. He didn't have to. The entire crowd already knew. The Red Veil War had left galaxies scarred. It was where the Drax Legion burned systems to ash. Only a few pilots made it back from that bloodbath, and one of them had just flown a junk fighter like it was a part of his soul. Later that night, the officers gathered. They opened Earth's archives and confirmed what many feared and what some now respected. Rex Holt wasn't just a mechanic. He was the man who led a final solo assault against the Drax flagship when everyone else had fallen. He had retired quietly, walked away from war, and disappeared until now. The next morning, Zarek stood in front of Rex again, this time with his helmet held in both hands. His voice was quieter. "I'm sorry," he said. Rex looked at him. There was no anger in his eyes, just experience. "You want to fly like a soldier?" Rex asked. Zarek nodded. "Then meet me at dawn. Not in a simulator. In the dirt, with tools. That's where real pilots are made." Zarek didn't argue. He saluted, and this time, no one laughed. Asterisk, asterisk. Classified no more than news, spread like wildfire by noon. Every corridor, hangar, and mess hall on 09 whispered the same name: Rex Holt. The humans, stationed at the base, stood a little taller. Even the aliens who had mocked him now kept their distance. Some saluted quietly when he passed, unsure if it was the right thing to do, but Rex didn't care for attention. He went back to work the next morning. He was under a different shipper, stealth recon unit that hadn't flown in months. His hands moved like they always had, calm, steady, focused. He didn't even glance at the officers staring from the walkway above. Among them stood Lieutenant Vara, a young alien analyst from the Council fleet. She had sharp eyes and a sharper mind. "That human doesn't belong here," said one officer. Beside her, Vara tilted her head. "Maybe you don't belong here if you can't recognize what you're looking at." She had spent the entire night digging through blocked archives, bypassing firewalls, and decrypting forgotten logs. Rex Holt wasn't just some pilot. He was a name that had been erased from official records after the Red Veil War, not because he failed, but because he succeeded, in a way that scared even Earth Command. He had flown 12 suicide missions, and returned from every one. He had disobeyed a direct order to retreat, and instead led 3 surviving fighters against Adrax's mothership. He was believed to have died in the explosion, but he lived and disappeared until now. That afternoon, General Toven ordered a fleet-wide exercise. All pilots were required to participate, human and alien and Rex. He was told to observe, but Toven had a plan. He stood before the assembled crews. "Today," he said, "we will run emergency zero-gravity recovery drills. Mid-air system failure. No AI, no backup. Manual control only." Murmurs moved through the ranks. Toven continued. "Rex Holt will supervise from the tower. But if you happen to lose control, well, I hope someone up there knows how to fly." Rex said nothing. His arms were crossed, his expression unreadable. Zarek stepped forward, helmet in. "And I want to be first." The others chuckled nervously, but Zarek's eyes weren't filled with arrogance this time. They were full of hunger to learn, to prove, maybe even to redeem himself. Zarek launched his fighter into the sky. The challenge began. High above, the wind roared. Zarek climbed to atmosphere edge, then sharply cut his engines as instructed. His ship immediately began to fall, spinning fast. Heading nose dash down, he reached for the auto-dash stabilizers. Dead, he tried the emergency. Override. Offline. His voice cracked through the comms. Manual systems not responding. Losing altitude. The entire base watched the screens in the tower. Then a soft voice came through. Pull left with your pinky. Not your whole hand, said Rex. Everyone turned. Rex leaned over the console. You're flying like the ship's trying to kill you, he added. But it's not. It's scared. Calm it down. Zarek didn't understand, but obeyed. He relaxed his grip, slowed his breathing, and the ship responded. It stopped spinning, tilted upward, floated. Good, Rex said. You're not flying metal. You're flying memory. The control room fell into stunned silence. Zarek landed safely. When he stepped out of the cockpit, the base clapped not for him, but for the man who guided him from the shadows. Later that night, Rex sat alone on a bench near the edge of the landing bay, watching ships drift into orbit. The sky above shimmered with quiet stars. It was peaceful, but not for him. In his hand was a small photograph, almost invisible now. 3 pilots stood together, all smiling. Young, one of them had his arm around Rex's shoulder. The other wore a medal shaped like wings with a red dot in the center. Hope you're still flying somewhere, Rex whispered. Footsteps approached. It was General Tovenweave. Reopened your file, the general said. Rex didn't look at him. You're reinstated, officially, if you want it. Rex sighed. I didn't come here to be a hero again. I just wanted to fix things. Toven nodded. Then start with them, he said, pointing toward a group of young pilots standing at a distance, waiting. Watching. Rex stood slowly, and for the first time in years, he walked toward a squadron not to lead them into battle, but to teach them how to survive. The sky remembers him. The sun had not yet risen, but the hangar buzzed with nervous energy. Pilots stood in formation, silent. Engineers lined the rails. Even the kitchen crew abandoned their stations to watch from the upper decks. Rex Holt was going to fly, officially, for the first time in 20 years. The announcement came only an hour ago, ordered by General Toven himself, a special demonstration flight. No simulations, no training wheels, just sky, steel, and a ghost returning to where he belonged. The galaxy had forgotten Rex Holt. Now, the sky would remind them. The old Earth fighter had been rebuilt overnight. Zarek and the other young pilots had worked non-stop cleaning, welding, rewiring. They didn't speak much. Their hands moved with purpose. They didn't do it because they were told. They did it because they wanted to. Crik stood beside the ship as Rex approached. It's ready, he said, handing him the helmet. I hope she remembers you. Rex stared at the old fighter. It looked out of place among the sleek alien ships, like a relic dug up from ancient war grounds. Scratched, uneven, and slow. But, as he ran his hand across the hull, he whispered, I remember her. He climbed into the cockpit. The hatch closed. From the control tower, General Toven watched with a quiet expression. Vara stood beside him, her tablet recording everything. You think he still has it? She asked. Toven didn't answer. His eyes never left the sky. The engines screamed, not like the smooth hum of modern ships, but a roar that shook the floor. A sound like war. And then the fighter lifted fast, too fast. The moment it broke through the air, everyone watching knew this was not a test flight. This was art. The ship didn't climb, it danced, barrel rolls, inverted dives, orbit spirals, moves that weren't in any training manual. The kind of flying that couldn't be taught, only felt. Zarek whispered, "That's not flying, that's music." Above the clouds, Rex tilted the fighter into a high arc. He closed his eyes. For 1 second, in that moment, the sky wasn't empty. It was full of voices, old voices, friends calling out, laughter, panic, orders, farewells, and then silence, just wind and stars. He opened his eyes, and the smile came back. He hadn't lost it. The sky remembered him. Suddenly, a red alert flashed in the control tower. Unscheduled traffic inbound. A voice called out. Everyone turned. A small fleet of Drexian drones. Enemy scouts had entered the system. Probably a test run. Or worse, a message. "Get the intercept squad up now," Tovan ordered. "No time," Vara said. "They're in range." On the main screen, the enemy drones locked onto the station. And then Rex turned, without orders, without backup. He dove, the drones spotted him and changed formation. 4 circled, 2 moved to intercept. Their weapons were charged. "Shields up, tell him to come back." Someone shouted, but Tovan raised a hand. "No, watch." What followed couldn't be explained, not even by the most experienced alien generals. The old Earth fighter twisted between enemy fire like it could see the future. Rex used broken clouds as cover. He made the drones crash into each other. He spun backward to shoot forward. He flew under, over, sideways, never predictable. One by one, the drones exploded. 7 ships, 32 seconds, no damage. The crowd below exploded into cheers. But Rex didn't respond. He simply brought the fighter back to base. Slow and steady. When he landed, smoke rose from the engine vents. He climbed out and looked around. Silence again, and then every pilot, soldier, and officer saluted. Even the aliens. Zarek stepped forward. "Commander Holt," he said, "you just taught us more in 1 minute than all our instructors combined." Rex looked at him. "You think that was impressive?" Nodded quickly. Rex handed him the helmet. "Then next time, you fly it." That night, the galaxy took notice. Footage of Rex's flight spread across military channels. Council leaders, admirals, and former enemies all watched the same thing, a forgotten human ace, flying a dead fighter like it was a storm made of steel and fire. Some wanted to honor him. Others wanted to erase him again, but it was too late. The sky had remembered Rex Holt, and now so did everyone else. Night fell across XERON-9. The base that once laughed at the old human now carried a different air quiet, heavy with meaning. Rex Holt, the man they had mocked, had not only flown but defended the base against real enemies with nothing but his instincts and an aging ship. The footage reached the Galactic Council before the stars were even visible. Across systems, people replayed the same moment. An old Earth fighter slicing through 7 enemy drones like a blade through fog. Pilots who had once dismissed Earth now paused. Commanders who had erased Holt's name now whispered it again. But Rex, He just sat under the stars. Zarek found him on the outer landing platform. Alone, sitting on an ammo crate, cleaning his gloves. The fighter ship was behind him, still steaming. Its wings slightly tilted like it was exhausted too. Crik walked slowly, hands behind his back. You should have let me help. Rex glanced at him. You're not ready, Zarek frowned. How do I get ready? Rex didn't speak at first. Then he reached into his pocket and pulled out a small metal chipboard, scratched, and marked with the insignia of the Earth's 7th Fleet. You listen to this. It's a voice recording. No videos. Just one mission. My last one. Zarek held the chip like it was alive. What's on it? He asked. Rex's eyes were far away. Me, breaking orders. Saving a crew I wasn't supposed to. And a decision. That cost me everything but my wings. The next morning, a ceremony was held. Not because Rex wanted one, because the base needed one. General Toven stood on the platform. The hangar had been turned into a parade ground. Rows of alien and human. Pilots stood in full uniform. Even ships were polished and parked like guests of honor. The general stepped forward, holding a silver medal. The wings of command, he said, were once given only to pilots who flew into battles they weren't expected to survive. He looked at Rex. This man flew 12. The crowd remained still. Earth never gave you this medal, Toven said, because they thought you didn't want it. But after what we saw, it's clear you didn't need it. We did. He pinned the medal to Rex's chest. Rex didn't speak. Instead, he stepped back, turned toward the pilots, and raised his hand in salute. What happened next would never be forgotten. Every pilot, alien and human, returned the salute. But more than that, they stood at attention as a symbol, not just of respect, but of silent apology. Even the ships raised their nose cones slightly, a silent tribute in the language only warriors understood. Later, as the crowd broke away, Zarek stood alone by the old Earth fighter. He turned when he heard footsteps. It was Rex. This bird isn't mine anymore, Rex said. She belongs to someone who's not afraid to fall. Zarek blinked. You mean me? Rex handed him the helmet. Don't break her. She's carried ghosts before. Zarek nodded, and then something surprising happened. Rex smiled, not the half smile he gave before, but a real one. I came here thinking I was done, he said quietly, that all I could do now was fix broken things. But you reminded me that maybe I wasn't just a survivor. Maybe I was supposed to teach. Zarek saluted. Rex didn't return it. He hugged him instead, that night. As the stars shone above, Rex walked away from the hangars, away from the metal and war stories, toward the hills behind the base. He didn't say goodbye. He didn't need to. Behind him, a new generation stood taller, flew sharper, and carried his name in silence, because some legends don't need banners or statues. They only need a moment in the sky, and someone who remembers.